What is up, gamers and gearheads? Brittality here to bring you an all-new show that revolves around everything Gears of War eSports. We're going to call this Front Spawn, and I'm going to be sitting down with a panel of experts. We're going to be going through a number of topics. So sit back, relax, and I hope you guys enjoy this new series. What's up, guys? So today with me I have the Czars of Charisma, the voices and observers of Gears Esports. I'll let you guys go around the table. Guy, start us off.
What is up, everybody? I am Guy Blaze, and Gears of War commentator, esports enthusiast, whatever you want to call me. Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of the show.
Hi friends, John Fallout Kefalukis, former professional Gears of War player, had a chance to work up at the Coalition as a community manager for a bit, and now I'm also a shoutcaster along with Blaze for the Gears of War Pro Circuit.
Hi, Rob ImmortalSpawn, former professional Gears of War player, current Gears of War analyst, competitor, observer, all around a guru of the game.
All right, so we're going to jump into our first topic of the day. We're going to talk a little bit about Escalation, the new game type for Gears of War 4. Now, guys, do you favor Escalation over what we've had in the past? We had Execution and brought in King of the Hill for Gears of War 3. Do you guys favor this game type over what we've had in the past?
No, it's a horrible game type. We should be playing Execution, 45-minute rounds. I'm totally kidding. Escalation, guys, if you had a chance to watch MLG Columbus, the first display of Gears 4 esports, it showed so well. We had so many clutch rounds, so many intense rounds. There's so much metagame, so much to analyze, so much to talk about as a commentator, and I know the players love it as well. I mean, this game mode blows anything we've ever had out of the water, in my opinion.
Yeah, just the fact that the fights are forced and where there's always something to play for. There's always a big objective, whether it's winning the round, but there's these small objectives and big meta time calls, and there's really nonstop action. So it's just amazing to play and really fun to watch, in my opinion.
No, I fully agree, man. You gotta understand. You gotta in with the new, out with the old, and there's really no objective to Execution, and it was from a viewer standpoint and a tournament standpoint, it was just bad. It was just so unpredictable. You had good moments, and you had a lot of whack moments as well. And Escalation, we've seen it play out both as how Domination would have played out, which a lot of people say was their favorite game type from Judgment, even though we don't speak of that no more. We saw a lot how it plays out as Execution as well in those later rounds where teams was like, yeah, they was building up points, but they was waiting to make those key execution pushes that we always see. So it has the objective that we need to make it a good esport.
Yep, I agree with that. And all I'm going to say is, if you have time in a game mode to stop what you're doing in an esports game mode and draw a smiley face on the wall with your lantern,
Right.
That's how you know you have a problem. I'm glad Node Zero and the team were able to recognize that. And I've been surprised, honestly, by people's willingness to drop Execution. I thought people loved it, and no one really has been complaining.
I think we had some pushback early on of people like, no
change.
Yeah, you guys are sellouts. Why you giving up Execution so easy? Yada yada. And those people have since silenced since the game has came out. And that since we've showcased it,
I think we've experienced enough horror stories to know that we needed like a drastic change for our esport to be successful. Yeah. And when money's on the line and things are like that, it's happening. Everybody's been there. And it sucks. Nobody wants to be a part of it from a player. Nobody wants to sit here and watch like a minute go by and filling time and things like that. Regardless of all that, we knew there had to be a drastic change, and the Coalition stepped up. And Node Zero with an amazing game type that is incredible to play with the clutch moments in there, and it's really a thriller like till the very end of each round.
Yeah. One thing I will bring up, not to go off script entirely here, but I think provide some good conversation, some good banter, is, do you think that Escalation should be the sole game type, or if we could find another game type, not saying right now there's more game types, I'm saying in the future, if we can find another game type that's as good as Escalation, should we have multiple game types, or should we stick to the one game type philosophy that Counter-Strike Go, League of Legends has?
All right, well, so my thing is, me personally, so over the years, I've had fun, playing multiple different game types, and it's very challenging, right? But at the same time, it says if you don't have to do it, then don't do it. Like we said, League of Legends, they play the same game type. Counter-Strike, they play the same game type, very successful. Escalation being so long into 13 rounds, it's hard to add something new into that mix. That's the one thing about League. League of Legends is an average 40-minute game. Counter-Strike, first to 16. All right, first 16 rounds. They're long games, and so that's why you can't really add another game type in it. You would have to drastically cut down escalation. It would have to be, instead of a first to 7, a first to 5 or 4, and then you'll have to throw in something that's amazing. And I always say that we had something that was like capture an object, take it to a point. Especially with the movement system and gears. I think that'd be, that'd be awesome.
Agreed.
Yep. You have some of your best moving players, taking flag to a certain point, or taking a bomb to close an immersion hole or something, and just use that and highlight the movement system of the game into that game type.
Yeah,
make those players worth something.
Now, as far as from a team standpoint, how is communication? Is it a lot faster? Is things done on the fly, kind of like they were in execution? How does that work?
Yeah. So now you have a fifth person with 5v5.
True.
So,
yeah.
It's even more critical that you're not saying, anything that's not very valuable. You have to process, an extra person on your team. So communication is probably, just as important as it's ever been. There are these, and listening is key. So like the one thing is, portraying your thoughts, but having your team listen and take quick action on it. If your heads up play, like, we're seeing 3 at this B hill, we gotta be out. We gotta be rotating. We gotta make that call and go. So, this game type is very, very dependent on communication and a team like all being in sync.
Escalation really exposes the weak links of your team. It exposes their internal issues. They can execution. They can get away with a lot of stuff, but now you expose them as a gamer of how fast can they think, how fast can they react, how well can they play under pressure, and how well they can communicate. Execution, you can get away with only having about 1 or 2 of those and not having the rest.
Agreed. That's a really good point.
Yeah, this game type, you need all of them in order to be successful.
Yeah, that's a good point, Blaze. You send a player up top on canals, the player down low gets 2 kills. That player up top can play like ass the entire round, but still one player making a big play really is a lifeboat for that teammate that's not playing so good and doesn't expose them. So that's a really good point. On top of that, one thing I'll say is you need 5 people on one team, and not to jump ahead of ourselves here, but I think Optic will not be beat until someone else can match this. Why Optic is so good is they have 5 people on one team that can make a big play at any time. Then if one's playing bad, the rest pick them up. That all know when to make the right decision and why to make the right decision, when to rotate. You really need 5 leaders, 5 independent thinkers on one team. You can't have the player that's just a beast, but just mind-numbing up here. Everyone needs to be able to think on their feet, think quickly. That's what really makes it interesting.
So now, do all the players have to encompass every role? Usually we have, the support, the slayer, power weapon, someone that's good with power weapons. Do they have to encompass all of those, or is that still abundant in the game type right now?
Well, it's not so much. Teams try to pre-plan it out a little bit of what role you're gonna fall in, but based off of how the game, the pace of the game goes throughout the entire match, with weapons being placed, and just certain situations you get yourself put in, you gotta know how to play everything. You gotta know how to rotate back. You gotta know how to be the anchor. Sometimes you're gonna have to pick up the power weapon. You're gonna have to play every position, especially in those earlier rounds when the respawns are low and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
You really can't define yourself as just a support player and be a critical success to your team,
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that, Blaze. I think the only one role that's been established, in my opinion, I think this might change as the metagame grows, is anchor. Anchor is the only well-established role. That guy clearly does the same thing every round and clearly follows that path. But in regards to slaying, support, here's one thing I'll say. Everyone needs to turn up. Like, there's a point in time in every single game where you need to turn way up and pull off a double kill, a triple kill for your team. Otherwise, you'll be exposed, like Blaze said earlier.
Yeah, same thing. Like as you mentioned, coming from execution to escalation, it's because of this game type. These players have to find themselves in situations that they may not have had to all the time before because coming out of spawn, you had your set strat, and you could sort of fill that support role, or hey, I'm going for boom or whatever. But now, like John said, all of a sudden you got to turn up, you got to clutch, you have to fight in for hills and objectives and map control. Therefore, again, it's going to expose players that the people that are going to shine are going to be those all-around players now. And as we've seen, the anchor role sort of define itself. That's another thing that everybody has to be able to do. Although you come out of spawn, you may have somebody that jumps there right away. But once somebody dies, that player should probably be moving up and moving to a different point of the map, and someone else sort of fill that role. So it's a constant rotation for everybody to be as this one cohesive unit in Escalation. Everybody's got to have many talents.
So we're kind of figuring this game type out and figuring the new game out with mechanics and new weapons and new strategies of not putting a weapon down or putting a weapon down. How do you guys think the metagame will change and evolve in the future?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that, right? Because that goes back to the conversation we said, should it be one game type or multiple? The metagame is deep, don't get me wrong. But I don't know how deep the metagame is going to continue to keep up at. I think it will reach economies of scale at one point. But if I had to point at something that is how the metagame is going to evolve, I think teams, as they start to define strats, watch film, go over strategies, create strat books, etc., will have a strategy for any possible combination of weapons placed at any single time, right? So if there's a boom shot placed up top in Foundation, if there's a boom shot placed down low in Foundation, they have a pre-established strategy created like they did in Execution. That's going to take a while. I think it's not going to be till Paris, till Mexico City, till that happens, but I think that will be where the metagame evolves into.
It's weird hearing cities.
Yeah, it really is.
It's usually like New Jersey.
Yeah.
Orlando,
Yeah.
Dallas,
Pittsburgh.
The classics. But no, I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a while before teams start to push the limits of how far and how creative they can actually get, because I think they've only scratched the surface of actually placing weapons and basing strats around them. Usually when we see teams now, they play it a lot. They play it real safe when it comes down to placing weapons on the map, and just because they. Just their perception of, not wanting to have too many explosive weapons on the map, and then, just want to fight heads up with basic stock weapons, Lancer, Nash, or pistol. But, they need to, come up with more strats around what's going on, especially in the later rounds. But I think as time goes on and a lot more of these teams get more solidified, then they'll start pushing those envelopes. But they need a daring leader to actually call those strats, because a lot of them, are not thinking outside the box to come up with them.
Yeah, well, agree completely, guys. Like it feels very safe right now. We're seeing strats where people are still learning the game. A lot of B hill strats, a lot of let's get our anchor, let's play for B. But the potential is there for some really exciting. Let's go take their home right away. I'm starting to see a little bit more, but that sort of out of the gate strat is huge. I mean, you pull back all the players from B. You overwhelm their side. We may see more passive play through the middle, set up, wait and see where they're heavier, and then make a play there.
And sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and then on the topic of weapons, it's the same thing. We're playing it rather safe. Like, some teams will be like, put a boom down, as quickly as they can because they want to force that fight. Other teams might feel like they have better communication and teamwork, where they sort of slowly drop shot grenades to use as utility or things of that nature, like a hammer burst for support. But a lot of these weapons that aren't getting utilized yet have a purpose, and I'm really excited to start seeing players start to use the retro, start to use the overkill and the enforcer, because if you allow that player to sort of lead an area and take advantage of what it can actually do, we might sort of see some new and fun things open up. So we haven't even tapped into the weapon side of things yet.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing about it is that a lot of the times where you can actually come up with these new strategies, they're kind of mid-game. You have to have a leader in your team that can tell enemy tendencies, all right? Because the reason why I say that is because usually before you do an opening strat, right? And usually your opening strat will define that entire round, and you wouldn't make too many heads-up plays in-game. So you have to know in-game about just basically where the enemy team is running, their tendencies, how many players is going, what they usually rotate, and kind of base your weapon placements around that. But you got to have somebody who can dissect that information throughout all the chaos during the match. And a lot of people can't do that. And you can't have, even if you got one good guy on your team that can do it, he can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
So
do you think the coach could fill that role?
Not right now.
I think a coach would be perfect to fill that role.
Could.
But the only reason why it's not right now, it's not that nobody can do it. It's just that one is somebody has to step up to say, hey, I want to coach, but you also need a team to trust in their coach and everything that he says and execute it. Because now if teams get coaches, they don't show a lot of respect in their coach. They're just like, yo, you the coach, do weapons respawn timers. We're coming up with the strats. And you think about Counter-Strike, League of Legends, their coaches are team managers and leaders. What coaches say go into effect.
Yeah. It's just like athletics, you know.
I agree.
Exactly.
What are the New England Patriots without Bill Belichick? I mean, they're absolutely nothing. He makes chicken soup out of chicken shit.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the problem is, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to call out the coaches a little bit. The problem is the coaches we have in the game right now. Not one of them is a former highly competitive professional player. Not one of them ever played and competed at that level. So there's not the level of trust there. Whereas I truly think any of the three people on this call, between the three of us that competed professionally, and maybe Prospect, who's no longer on a team, if folks like them would fill into a coach role, I think that role could blossom.
Well, to be fair, there's a bunch of NFL coaches that haven't played at the professional level.
That's true, but they grew up playing.
Yeah.
They grew up, you know. That's a good point, Brett. That's a good point. I think they could do it. They're just the teams don't trust them, and they haven't stepped up into that role.
Yeah.
I think they could do it. I think Ashes and Ryan easily could.
But they have to be there. And I think if Ashes makes a call out, or if Ryan makes a call out like, hey, I need you guys to go 2 here, drop boom shot here, watch out for incense, they're gonna be like, yo,
you're crazy.
Relax.
Exactly.
Yeah, relax. You're
right.
crazy.
You're right.
But I feel like if I was to like take a team on like let's say if I was to coach one of these new Vex rosters, one of these new and upcoming kids, and I told them to do something, it's gonna be law. Okay, because I'm up here, I see what you can't see. You know what I'm saying? Just let me control the tempo of the game and let me be a coach, and I guarantee you, I bring victory. Hell.
Agreed. One last thought on the metagame piece. I think Rob, you said this well. Blaze, you said it well. To summarize, teams right now are very reactive in their weapon placements. They're reacting to what's going on in the game. What's going to change is people are going to start to become way more proactive. They're going to set a weapon in a certain spot because they have a strat on that spot that they know will work. Right? That's not happening right now. Right now, it's very like barbarian. It's very like Neanderthal in strat placements.
That's true.
It's like, let's place a boom shot because we can headline into the boom shot fight. We can force them to fight us, or let's place a shot grenade and use it at the B hill. Like very basic. But that's going to develop a lot further, I think, down the line.
And the reason why, so on certain rounds, like round 6, 12, 13, round 5 and 11, where the next round you can remove a weapon off a map. Okay, if you was to take, those are good rounds to take daring strategies. Those are good rounds to kind of put bait weapons on a map to do something completely different, you know? Yeah. And they're not, like you said, it's very reactive, right? It's a very, very passive defensive chess style that they're playing. And they need to be aggressive and set the tempo and set the enemy team up into what they want them to do. And take advantage of those rounds where you can actually remove weapons off the map. But like you say, John, I agree with you. They're being very, very reactive. Like, oh, I don't want to do it. Let's see what move they're going to make. We're not sure yet. They're not controlling the tempo of the game. And actually, I think that's one way how you will beat Optic is if that you can outthink them when it comes down towards the weapon placements. All right, you have to know how to think 6 rounds ahead of what they may do, what they may remove, or what they may place. And it takes a real strategist to do that. And we don't got nobody who can do that yet.
Prospect, I'm calling you out, my man. Listen, you'd be the best coach in the history of this game if you decide to hang up the sticks. That's all I'm saying.
He's still a player.
Now, do you guys think the current launch maps fit Escalation well, or would you like to see some legacy maps? We recently had Checkout and Dry Dock announced. Do you think that legacy maps should be brought in order to take advantage of this new game mode?
I definitely think old maps can work. It's one thing to say it, but we obviously have to see it, feel it, play it. This feels fun. The way the rotations are, the way the maps are laid out. But there's no reason why out of old maps and brand new maps won't work successfully on Escalation. So I think the best thing is for us to get a feel for them and start playing with them. You know, the exciting thing for me is seeing the revival of some old ones, but really just seeing some new ones that they're cooking up with Escalation in mind. I think those should be the most successful ones.
Here's the thing, though, on that topic. I think Gears 3 maps can work because Gears 3 maps were designed for what game mode?
King of Hills. Damn, it was down for
TDM. Nope.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was TDM.
Gears 3 maps were designed for TDM. Gears 4 maps were designed for what game mode?
Escalation?
Nope,
TDM. Okay.
TDM. So, with that in mind,
what about Gears 2?
Gears 2 were not. That's what I'm saying. I think Gears 3 maps can work well, possibly, because they're designed for the same game mode. They flow the same ways. They're same porous type of flank routes. Gears 2 maps, in my opinion, were designed so heavily for execution, for Warzone, so on and so forth, that you look at a map like Avalanche. Avalanche was a great Gears 2 map. Would be a horrible Escalation map because you're stuck all the way in the spawns. I mean, you're literally so far away from the fight. They'd have to really rethink and rework those Gears 2 maps to make them work, in my opinion.
I'm excited for Dry Dock. I'm excited for Checkout.
Me too.
I'll be excited for Slab to come back. I think it's a lot of good options. I think even in some Gears 2 maps, I would I've always wanted to see a remake of Pavilion come back. But hey. It might not be the best option. Depends on how they, utilize the down low area. And sometimes, like maps like that, you have to add like a secondary path to open it up.
Yeah, I was thinking that for Pavilion, the top spawn should open up, right?
Yeah. You just gotta add an extra door. You just gotta add an extra opening to these maps, and then they become viable. That's really like they just need a little bit of tweaking. But hey, they'll still be good legacy maps. They can work. And then, and I also agree, looking forward for them to come up with new shit as well. But it'd be nice to have, the maps we loved growing up and that they actually work for the game type, and not be forced. Because I don't think they'd be forced on the people. Because regardless if they're offered, they're gonna get vetoed anyway, So, and if a team chooses to play it, hey.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing like Foundation, right? Is a map that I think everybody just like, hey, this is fun, this works, right? There's a lot of paths. There's a lot of vision. You can really see much of the map from anywhere that you are, and the fact that you can really navigate quickly and even stealthily sometimes, just because there's just the amount of paths. Like if you're heading over to Statue Side, you can come from like multiple different ways. It's really a successful map in my opinion, and seeing those type of maps, like I think Slab would work too. That you mentioned it, and Checkout, although is similar in the fact that you can see a good bit of the map, and I think it's going to come down to the hill placement a lot as well. Like I think that really helps define. We're seeing hill placement sort of be in the open a lot of times, not really like where you can get down on cover, and sometimes on weapon nodes, sometimes not. But hill placement is a big part of it for the success of Escalation.
Well, one thing I will say is I think we can't let the map situation get out of control. I think we have to set a limit. We can never have more than 9 maps because the cycles are too long to scrim. Teams are going to be unpolished, unpracticed on certain maps, and then things are going to start getting exposed. And it's not going to be the team's fault. You can't expect a team to grind 15 hours a day because that's what you would need to be sufficient on 15 maps. That's too many. So
yeah.
There's going to be a give and take. And I'll ask you guys, if there's a give and take, let's say Dry Dock comes out, it plays amazing. We want to add Dry Dock.
And it replaces Dam.
There you go. I was going to ask, what does it replace? Dam.
Yeah, I would agree.
What are the bottom 3 maps you'd say? Dam. Forge. Would you throw Forge in there? I'd throw Forge in there probably.
I like Forge.
I feel like Forge is pretty good. Out of the current pool, I do like Forge. I feel like Lift is hit or miss. I feel like Lift is hit or miss a lot. I feel like it has a lot of potential. We didn't see it much at all at the Invitational.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if that was just because we don't want to have these smoke fights.
The splice match on Lift though. That was
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, but again, like I go back to Foundation as I think being a map that everybody really has embraced at this point.
Yep.
And not all maps are necessarily like that.
So what about Trench? This may make you cringe a little bit because of Gears 3, but Trenches had kind of a similar kind of layout that Foundation did.
Yeah.
Didn't Trenches get like an extra pathway added at one point?
It did from the beta to the game release.
It got the
down low.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. It had the down low portion added. Yeah. Trenches is, let's say you have a bottom hill, 2 top hills on the side, but then when they flip,
The problem with trenches is the same issue adding Gears 3, the elevation, right? It's so hard to push up a hill to a team that's fortified. And in Escalation, when you have that, I think trenches wouldn't work which is interesting because Foundation does. But
drop the drop shot.
Foundation is a lot more porous than the trenches is. Trenches, you're very tunneled. You're very trapped. So,
Dust
interesting
Bowl.
stuff.
Bring back the Dust Bowl, though.
All right, so we're going to talk about MLG Columbus, the old and the new, and the upcoming new that's going to be at us in November. So let's talk about the last tournament, MLG Columbus. Overall, how do you guys think the tournament went? You know, you guys were there, you saw the production and stuff, the stuff that we didn't get to see from the stream. Would you like to see anything changed for the next event?
Well, you know what? I just want to say I enjoyed the production. I loved it a lot. I love the route that the coalition wants to take when it going more so a UFC style of gaming. You know, showcase that nitty gritty of Gears of War. It doesn't have to be too professional. It could be fun. And by them taking the game that direction, us as casters and content creators allow us to do more fun things as well. Especially even on live stream, more so bring out our personality. And it's not, exactly, right? So I think that going forward, I think the whole event was awesome. I think the match times was quick. It was very the downtime was low. We was in matches right away. It wasn't like it was at the Gears of War UE Columbus, where you had the analyst desk and you had like 5 minutes after that. And it was just a lot of extra time in between matches where we really lost viewers. And we hit some critical points. You know, we hit 25,000 viewers over all platforms, which I thought was a win. It was new people who came into the chat and was like, wow, this is awesome. And new people who actually watch games in eSports. And I was just like, yo, this is refreshing to see something different. You know, they loved the drama that was there. And I think as we go forward, we do nothing but get better. We add more drama to the game. And I think, when by the time this Columbus Open comes, that we will take it to another level.
Yeah, I think MLG production they did is just absolutely amazing, top notch. You know, working with that crew, it's just so cool. Like the arena was just sick, and how the coalition is embracing the community and the niche that we are, and sort of how we play, and letting us be ourselves. Because I'm explaining to the production crew, like, is Gears always like this? They're talking, this much shit and all that stuff. I'm like, you know how I am back here working, but when you see me playing, I'm a completely different person. Like it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with me, and everybody can attest to that when they play Gears on LAN. So having that support from your developer and saying, be you, like, just do what you have to do. We're going to market that. We're going to, roll with it, and then having more orgs understand it too and be like, hey, like, that's Gears. Like, this is why Gears, it's like, you can't take that away from Gears. It's a special part of Gears. So seeing that, like, brought to the forefront, recognized and embraced was probably my biggest takeaway from Columbus, outside of the awesome matches. That was really amazing to recognize and see, and it excites me for the rest of the year.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. And the last bit I'd say on production before jumping into some other important topics on the event, honestly, Britt, you said, is there anything you'd change for the next event? My first thought was no. Like, honestly, the event went so well. I'd say like 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. It went very well. But thinking about how we can push the envelope, I think the coalition is going to do a good job of this, is starting to, but needs to expand it a little bit further. We got rid of the analyst desk. We're breaking the mold of esports structure, cookie cutter pro league in every region. There are open events, which is great. I want the production to follow suit in that, right? So, analyst desk is so traditional esports. I think we're starting to move away from that route and moving into more like embracing the hype, being able to jump into matches whenever we can, making sure we're not missing any matches. Maybe if we have like a live show host on the floor. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities. We've seen some good hosts in Gears so far. I don't think we've had that host yet that has really opened things up and added something new to esports, and hopefully that will be the next step in production. Another piece, that was the last piece on production. Moving on to teams and storylines, I mean, that was perfect. Like, how many storylines came out of MLG Columbus? We saw Revenge come out of nowhere. Everyone had them in their top 8, top 6. They got top 3. We saw E United with a huge choke. We saw Splice show a lot of opportunity, but not quite make it there just yet. So the matches were, how many 7-6s did we have on the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just, the gameplay was amazing. The game mode showed very well. Everything really added up to make it a great event.
Now, did any teams or players in general surprise you at the event, good or bad?
Team Revenge and Crass. That was mine. Team Revenge and Crass.
I was just to say that.
Yeah,
I agree. That was across the board. I'd say that all three of us would have said that was our biggest, like, wow, they're really here to play. He played an amazing job playing anchor, right? He was able to sneak opponents' hills, to really play elusive, see a different element.
Win his 1v1s, he
won for 1v1s. He really outsmarted everyone. I mean, you saw him 2 matches in a row outsmart. First and foremost, who got 4th place at that event? Why am I blanking? NRG, yeah. You saw him completely outsmart NRG in the anchor role. And then he goes to play against Franchise, completely dominated Franchise in the 1v1. And Fran's one of the most composed players in the game with the most experience, and he dominated that as well. One thing I'll say about Kraz, he outsmarts people. He out-hammer bursts them. He's using the secondary weapons, I think, better than anyone in the game right now, so he's really pushing the meta. I think his shotgun and his individual skill, he can't turn up in the same way that like a Solars can or an Explosive can. And that's where I think he has opportunity to improve. So I wouldn't say he played perfect, but he was definitely a shocker.
Yeah, and then, of course, you got, Splice as well. Splice, they just did fantastic, and we knew that those boys can bang, but still, I'm pretty sure a lot of people overlooked them coming in, and then they came out and played as if they were a top team, and they should have probably placed into the top 4. I think they get better. Being an international team, you don't have much practice. You don't have much quality practice against the North American teams, and that's where the most competition is. That's why even when Mind Freak got double eliminated, Mind Freak was like, they was like, hey, we trying to scrim anybody at the venue tomorrow, when we can, just let us know, because they not going to get that practice again. And they know that, how far behind they are because of that practice. So they was at the venue saying, hey, we need practice. Anybody, on day 2, after they was eliminated, wanted to just play anybody, be a warm-up practice. So, we'll see Splice going forward, moving up.
Yeah, with Mind Freak as well, like, I know a lot of people didn't have them high in the brackets coming into the event. I feel like for next time, and I feel bad for the amount of travel that a team has to do to get to a tournament. Maybe for these international teams moving forward, if it's possible for them to get there earlier, not necessarily, whatever day or what behind, but just in their defense, they got there, not really in good time to really prepare mentally for that event. And I think that might be a lesson, to take toward the next events, as we have a lot of teams traveling far, to just, give them the right, because they're missing practice time already, and then they're there and they're jet lagged and they have to figure it out basically. And that team in particular got there pretty late, so that was unfortunate. But I'm excited to see them pick up and hopefully get some scrims across 200 ping.
Two more stories I think are important to mention. One, Team Envious and Solars. A lot of people put Team Envious at top 2. A lot of people thought they wouldn't do well with Solars. Solars played out of his mind. Like, Solars really is back, and now, of course, I think it's official, it's public. Envious officially made the decision to drop Soto to pick up Solars. And that's not necessarily what Soto was doing wrong. It's what Solars was doing so well, and what Solars adds to the table. They didn't want to let him fall by the wayside, because Solars would have gotten picked up by any team. He would
have been on the opposite side. He would have made somebody better enough to beat them at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
While watching that game, observing that game, I'm like, there's no way you can move on from Solars at this point. If he is going to be a dedicated player, if he's telling you, Fran called Solars' mom, like, yo, is he going to be able to do this year? This is what we want to do.
Yeah, and
so he had to get that affirmation and make sure. But if you have that, if you're like, yeah, he's good, he's going to be playing, like he's dedicated to us. He wants to beat Optic. He has the drive to beat Optic at this point.
That's one reason I'm so glad that pickup happened, man. Like, the rivalry that creates, the Envy Optic rivalry, is just amplified times 1,000 because of that team decision right there. And honestly, that's another thing too from the event. A big plus was the storylines were amazing, and I don't want to see that trash talk, those rivalries, that pure hatred, that hype, that passion fall away like Call of Duty has, etc. I heard people in the production room saying, like, oh yeah, 3 years ago Call of Duty was the same way, but now they're all buttered up, they're all professionals, and they don't talk any smack. I never want to see that happen to Gears. Ever.
Yeah, and like they get that because they get that way because of the orgs, and then the money come in, and it's just like, that's why it's fresh in it that you get that Gears of War could be what esports used to be about. You know what I'm saying? When we went to these tournaments, we can get that experience and be wild. It is not like we're too wild. We we have some wild ones, but majority we're just like, just let your passion just release,
Yeah.
like get hype, don't
Like Rob.
don't
Yeah,
constrain
Rob's a good
don't
example of that.
constrain yourself, just be free and play. Whatever happens. But at the end of every time, and I want to say on the main stage when we saw a lot of tension between Kraz and Demo, even after that match, they both shook up and shook hands and said, "Yo, good game."
Always has to happen. Always
And
has to happen.
and it happens every single time, and it really does not happen. I think at the end we still will always see a GG at the end of it. So
yeah. One last thing I'll say about teams, biggest disappointment without a doubt, we'd all probably agree, United, and that's on some next level stuff. Like they just played bad. I'm not sure if you guys watched the rebroadcast, but they were just not. They were missing opportunities that any team should hit. They were not going for 3 caps when they should. It was just a bad situation. So they were
playing slower than the top 2. Yeah.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
That was my biggest disappointment too. I really like that team. I feel like they have a lot of potential, slang power, intelligence. I don't think they're utilizing their weapons and their roles well. I think they're going to come up much smarter and better, at the next one.
That's a team where a coach could really help. I'm just saying. Prospect. Last time.
All right, so we talked a little bit about Optic. We're going to go into a little more specifics with them. Now, they didn't drop a map at all during the tournament. What do you think other teams need to do in order to stop the domination of the Green Wall? Now, this has been kind of a theme throughout Gears of War. We've had teams on top, and they win tournament after tournament, and then, they hit a downfall at one point, and Optic is on the rise right now. So what do you think teams need to do in order to stop Optic?
Well, you know what? I had a conversation about this last night, and I figured out what Optic weakness would be if somebody can actually make this happen. And it's actually, kind of crucial. But if you find Mental a girlfriend, then I think the team will crumble. Like
that's simple.
Get Mental a girlfriend and let him lose his focus a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, because that man never loses focus, all right? But we didn't all lost focus.
Papa has a girlfriend. Kenny has a girlfriend. They're doing all right. All right? Mental loses that focus of steel, but nah. Explosive too, Gilbert. You're right.
Yeah, right. But both of them, they both is the core. Okay, they both go by the wayside when all these Optic girls start coming through. When the green walls and start trying to tear down these walls, it's gonna be all over for them. But
did you say the pink wall tries to tear down the walls? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, no, you missed the Optic reference. But so you're gonna have to have they're so above everybody else. Envious made the drastic roster changes they need, and messing up that friendship, not messing up that friendship, but they had to do that because they knew that they would never get a first place event the way Optic was playing, and the difference between both of them, and Envious was still kicking everybody's ass. So the difference between both those teams still, Optic is way past them ahead. So they have to close that gap. And then now we was talking, you have all these other good players out there, right? Free agents. You got Wildy, Prison, Supremos, Flames. You got Prospect out there. You got Nasty out there. You got members of E6 out there on the wayside. Like, you have all these people that you possibly got Soto out there too. You got all these people where you possibly can make you a nice little super squad to contend with that first place team. I think people need to start making some drastic roster changes if they want first place. If they're fine with top 4 finishes, by all means, grind it out. But I think if you're trying to beat Optic, you need to push the limits.
Yeah, I see this team as I haven't really seen them get too hard on themselves. They really got it down when it comes to being composed and friends, and we've seen them down at the tournament and be able to bounce back both times against Revenge. Yep. So, but they are beatable. I mean, they are beatable. We've seen teams take them far on maps. I think better use of some of these weapons to maybe counter some of the way that they want to play would come up. Throw an Enforcer against Kenny, find him and just get on his nerves. He hates that gun. But things like that, and the team plays really smart, and just sticking with it with seeing how they play and just playing. Don't play into their game. They're a team that really reacts quite well. I played against them on Foundation, and they're just chilling mid map. They're not flying down. I feel like a lot of people are trying to do too much right now. I feel like a lot of people are trying to just really overthink it, and I think teams need to just be a little more calculated. It's the best team right now. They're a really smart team, but I'm sure somebody's going to be taking them deep into tournaments soon.
Here's one thing that hasn't been brought up yet around Optic is, yeah, Rob, you're spot on. They stay calculated. They stay composed when they're down mid-game, and I respect them for it. They have not lost yet, bar one time. And guess what? That one time, you saw Lava throwing mad emo tweets on Twitter. You saw Explosive getting hella angry. Explosive and Kenny were at each other's throats, right? Like one loss in a 2K series in an online tournament. What's going to happen when they lose on LAN? You know, they haven't been beat yet. How are they going to react when their backs are against the wall, when they are not, when they're down but not out? That is where I think there might be an Optic weakness. This is when they start losing.
If rosters remain the same that they are at this current stage, what team do you think has the best chance of beating Optic?
Envy,
yeah. Ain't no hands down. We haven't seen anybody make a move that needs to be made besides
United. Them. Yeah, United's current roster can't beat them. Envy, I think is the only team that can.
All right, so now we're going to move into the future. We've got another tournament coming to us in November. Do you guys have any predictions on what teams may show up and kind of dominate the scene there? Is there a team that's going to be Optic there?
No, I don't. Right now, it's too early to tell if there's going to be a team that beats them, but I do think we will see a lot more. I feel like we have a lot more international teams in the top 12. I think that we may have another Latino team breaking to the top 12. I think we may have 2 European teams breaking to the top 12. So I don't think it's going to be so more stacked in the Americans' favor this time around. And, you know, with everybody coming out, it's going to be some good competition. And really, the people who kind of excel coming out of open bracket, if they can really take that momentum and energy, they can upset some heads. But as far as beating Optic,
that's right. We didn't have any European squads this last time around because of poor judgment.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you right now about this European scene. They have so much potential, and they just continue to shoot themselves in the foot, shot after shot after shot, and keeping themselves behind. They change rosters every other week, man. It just makes no sense. I just found out Supremacy, the best team arguably in Europe right now, just dropped Ronnie, who is an absolute beast. For Reaction. Reaction's been on 3 different teams in 4 days. It's just like, it's a nightmare over there. They have so much talent, so much potential, but they just cannot keep it together, man. It's holding them back.
I ran into Supremacy in the Deluxe tournament, man. Those guys are the real deal. I was really impressed with them.
Were they? Okay, yeah. They better get these pounds, man. They better put some weight in their pockets, you know, solidify some of these teams and, you know, go home heavier.
Epsilon too, man. That could be a great roster. Could be a great squad. So you saw them play, Blaze, in the Wednesday match. They're looking solid.
No, yeah, they did. They did. They got onto Vitality. So
yeah, I think Revenge. Do you guys think Revenge is the truth? Do you think they're gonna stay in top 3?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Grinding. Like that's a team that's grinding and definitely wants to come back and beat Optic in the next one. So. Yeah, I don't see them falling off.
Okay.
All right, guys. So that's all the topics we have for today. Thank you guys so much for grinding this out with me and talking esports. It's been fun.
No problem.
Britt, thank you for organizing. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem.
Miss you at events, girl.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope to get out to one soon. But make sure you follow these guys. We've got ImmortalSpawn and Fallout. I've been doing videos lately, so make sure to go follow their YouTube. Blaze needs to get on that.
Right, I'm trying to get moved. Okay, I got to make it to the East Coast.
Yeah, Blaze just got a new gig with MLG.
So now I got a whole production crew. Like, yo, what you want to do? So wait for the real content to come out.
What's your official title with them?
On-air talent.
On-air talent.
Yeah, but you know we'll be creating some content as well. Definitely I'm figuring out more and more how I always knew it was a great place to work, but now I'm really knowing why it is a great place to work, so it's awesome. It's
kind of come full circle for you, huh? Started off with MLG events, and now you're working for them.
Yeah, don't worry, you're gonna get me tearing up in here. Come on, let's end this. I got composure to keep.
All right. Well, thanks guys for watching. If you want to see more topics or discussions, anything that you guys want to see next time, be sure to shoot any of us a tweet and let us know. But until then, guys, keep grinding on gears, and we'll see you next time.